রিজার্ভ ব্যাংকের কর্মচারী আন্দোলনের পথিকৃৎ এবং গোটা দেশের ব্যাংক কর্মচারী আন্দোলনের অন্যতম প্রধান নেতা কমরেড আশিস সেনের জন্মশতবর্ষ উপলক্ষে আয়োজিত এই সভায় যারা আজ সমবেত হয়েছেন তাদের প্রত্যেককে রিজার্ভ ব্যাংক এমপ্লয়িজ অ্যাসোসিয়েশন কলকাতার পক্ষ থেকে আমি স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি। I am particularly thankful to office bearers of All India Reserve Bank Employees Association and its senior leaders and different unit secretaries who have assembled here from all over the country to pay their homage to Comrade Asis Sen. I am also thankful to BFI leadership who have also come here to pay their homage to the memory of Comrade Asis Sen. I welcome them all. কমরেড আশিস সেনের পরিবারের কয়েকজন সদস্য আজ আমাদের মধ্যে উপস্থিত আছেন, আমি তাদেরও আমাদের সংগঠনের পক্ষ থেকে কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাচ্ছি। যখন আমাদের সংগঠনের ৭৫ বর্ষ পূর্তি সমাবেশ করেছিলাম সেই অনুষ্ঠানে হাজির হয়েছিলেন পশ্চিমবাংলার তদানীন্তন মুখ্যমন্ত্রী কমরেড জ্যোতি বসু এবং গত ২০১৩ সালে যখন আমরা আমাদের সংগঠনের ৯০ বছর পূর্তি উৎসব পালন করেছিলাম সেই অনুষ্ঠানে উপস্থিত ছিলেন অধ্যাপক অমর্ত্য সেন। বর্তমান বছরেও আমাদের পরিকল্পনা আছে যে আমরা মানানসই কয়েকটি অনুষ্ঠান করব আমাদের শতবর্ষ উদযাপনের অঙ্গ হিসেবে এবং আমি আশা রাখি আর আমরা প্রত্যেকটি অনুষ্ঠানে হাজির হয়ে প্রত্যেকটি অনুষ্ঠানকে সফল করে তুলব। আজকের এই সভায় সভাপতিত্ব করার জন্য আমি আমাদের সর্বভারতীয় সংগঠন অল ইন্ডিয়া রিজার্ভ ব্যাংক এমপ্লয়িজ অ্যাসোসিয়েশনের জেনারেল সেক্রেটারি কমরেড সমীর ঘোষের নাম প্রস্তাব করছি।
কমরেডস, আমি অল ইন্ডিয়া রিজার্ভ ব্যাঙ্ক এমপ্লয়িজ অ্যাসোসিয়েশন, ব্যাঙ্ক এমপ্লয়িজ ফেডারেশন অফ ইন্ডিয়া এবং অল ইন্ডিয়া রিজিওনাল রুরাল ব্যাঙ্ক এমপ্লয়িজ অ্যাসোসিয়েশনের নেতৃত্বকে একে একে ডায়াসে ডাকছি। তাঁরা দুদিক থেকেই আসতে পারেন। আই নাও ইনভাইট কমরেড অজিত সুবেদার, প্রেসিডেন্ট অল ইন্ডিয়া রিজার্ভ ব্যাঙ্ক এমপ্লয়িজ অ্যাসোসিয়েশন ফ্রম মুম্বাই, Comrade Pradeep বিশ্বাস, former General Secretary and Vice President of Bank Employees Federation of India, Comrade A. Govindaswamy, Working President, All India Reserve Bank Employees Association from Chennai, Comrade Joydev Dasgupta, Comrade Debashish Bosu Choudhury, General Secretary, Bank Employees Federation of India. I now invite to dais a very old veteran comrade of Reserve Bank and Bank Employees Movement from Nagpur, Comrade V.V. Asai. He is 85 years old, but even at this age, every day he comes to Nagpur Association office with his scooter. Comrade Joydev Dasgupta, General Secretary, Bank Employees Federation, West Bengal. Comrade Ashok Das, President, Bank Employees Federation, West Bengal. Comrade Soed Khan, General Secretary, All India Regional Rural Bank Employees Association. Now I invite to the dais the person for whom we have been eagerly waiting, and to hear him, actually it's a pleasure for all of us, educative, Comrade Sitaram Yechuri.
Readiness leader, you understand? Stand and talk.
Dear respected Comrade Sitaram Yechuri, leaders on the dais and those sitting in front, my dear colleagues from Reserve Bank in Kolkata and other offices, the courageous bank men and women who are almost daily creating history by their heroic struggles, retirees from Reserve Bank and other banks, the fighters and organizers of yesteryears, respected leaders of other trade unions. It is indeed a rare opportunity and honor for me to speak on this occasion when we, the All India Reserve Bank Employees Association, the Bank Employees Federation of India, and the All India Regional Rural Bank Employees Association, jointly observing the birth centenary of Comrade Asis Sen, the pioneer of bank employees movement, the organizer par excellence, and paying our tribute to him. It is indeed fitting that Comrade Sitaram Yechuri, the foremost leading progressive spokesman of the country's democratic and working class movement, is a speaker today, through whose speech we will get the direction in which the country's trade union movement, bank employees movement, and democratic movement will go forward. I thank him for coming in our midst today. আমি এখন কমরেড সীতারাম ইয়েচুরিকে ইনভাইট করছি তার মূল্যবান বক্তব্য রাখার জন্য, এবং আপনাদেরও বলবো মোবাইলটা আপনাদের সাইলেন্স মোডে রাখুন। কমরেড সীতারাম ইয়েচুরি।
বাংলাতে বলতে পারবো না, এত ব্যক্তিত্ব দেবার সাহস নেই, তাই জন্য আপনার অনুমতি নিয়ে আমি ইংরেজি বা হিন্দিতে বলবো। তো ইংরেজি থেকে শুরু করবো, নাইলে আমার মাতৃভাষা তেলুগুতে বলতে পারি। The president of today is very Comrade Samir Ghosh and all the leaders of the bank movement, organizers and leaders who have been protecting the interests of our banking sector and the financial sector, who are here on the dais. I'm very happy that it's not only the All India Reserve Bank Employees Association, but the BEFI and the regional rural banks associations are together observing Comrade Asis Sen's birth centenary. Comrade Asis Sen and I have had a understanding and relationship that goes back to the 1980s. I was then the president of the All India Students Federation of India, and then the BEFI was formed just then in 1982. So we used to interact in the party offices, central committee offices, and also in the mass organization meetings. And the whole issue was whether to bring the BEFI's central office to Delhi or will it function from Calcutta. But I think the answer was given when Comrade Asis Sen came into the parliament. So the center actually moved to Delhi along with him in the parliament. When he came into the parliament in the 1980s, that the speeches that he would make, the interventions that he would make, not only confined to the financial sector and the banking sector, but to the overall economic policy in the country, the overall direction in which the country is taking. The thrust of that was what? Which was the thrust of the public debate in the country and public discourse in the country at that time. And the thrust was, we have a Constitution of India. In that Constitution of India, there are many things that are to be added to improve that Constitution. For instance, the right to employment is not a fundamental right in our Constitution, but right to private property is. The struggle to add right to education, health, employment as fundamental rights in our Constitution, how to improve upon this Constitution, that was the direction. So if on the theme of India at 75, if we have to discuss this, we have to begin by realizing and underlining the fact that today what is being built is a new narrative about India, about independent India. And what is this new narrative? Since the 2019 elections in particular, the BJP, which is the political arm of the RSS, and the RSS has a fascistic agenda of converting the secular democratic Republic of India into a fascistic Hindutva Rashtra. And if this is the objective, the unfolding of this agenda is what we are seeing that is rapidly unfolding today. The new political narrative is what? And this is going to affect everybody. Like it said, it is not only the general people, the poor, the unorganized labor, but organized trade union movements. And what is that concrete analysis today? That you will have to understand this offensive that is taking place in the country today. We'll have to go back nearly a century of our history. Go back to the 1920s, when during the course of our freedom struggle, there was reference made to our freedom fighters and their vision of what India should be. But during the 1920s, during the course of the freedom struggle, three visions emerged to answer the question, what should be the character of independent India? Was the vision represented by the then leadership of the freedom movement, that was the Congress then, that India, because of its diversity, its plurality, and unmatched anywhere else in the world, in any other country, India cannot be a country that can be uniting its people, unless it's a secular democratic republic, where we give equality to all the distinct diversities and plurality of India. The realization of the RSS vision of converting the secular democratic republic into a Hindutva Rashtra can only happen if this constitutional order is undermined. And that is why what we are seeing today is a systematic attack. In fact, I would call it an assault on all the fundamental pillars of our constitution, the four fundamental pillars of our constitution. That is secular democracy, economic sovereignty, social justice, and federalism, that is center-state relations. These four fundamental pillars of our constitution are under assault today by the policies that are being followed by the current government. And this you can see in every single sphere. Secularism. In many states that are ruled by the BJP, you will find new laws that have come in, whether it's on love jihad, whether it is on cow protection, whether it's anything, and targeting the minorities. Religion or faith is a fundamental right of every individual and citizen of India. Whichever faith that citizen chooses, it is the job of the country, the law and order, the constitution, and the government to protect that faith, the right to that faith. And that is something, that is what secularism ought to be. The importance of banking into the rural areas, to take it, it was not on the basis of propaganda, and it's not on the basis of claiming credit of how many accounts have been opened, etc., whether there's money or not. That's a different point, what is happening today. But the whole idea was to involve the poorest of the poor into the banking system so that he can avail of the advantages. And that helped. That helped Indian agriculture, that helped the Indian farmer, that helped our rural productivity. And now today with the Manrega, after great pressure from all of us in the parliament, we finally could get the right to rural employment guarantee enacted. And that was through the banking systems, that it had to be done through the banking structures in rural areas. But then you see how the Manrega itself is now being completely diluted, paralyzed, even during this COVID period, when that is the only sustainable lifeline. There the allocations have been reduced even compared to last year by about 25%. Unemployment is galloping. Your growth today, they are saying 60% of the people who have been pushed into extreme poverty. The education policy, new education policy, education is in the concurrent list, but no state is consulted. Your cooperatives, the cooperative sector is entirely a state subject, but you have a central law, a new central minister who is also a home minister, and therefore the assaults, and then of course the GST, the way it was implemented, the compensation to be given to the states, that is not being given, and squeezing the states of their of any resource mobilization. And that the government gets away without being accountable, which is what is happening now. No answers to any major question. The classic joke in Delhi nowadays is you ask any question to the government, they say no data. Immediately the answer is no data. Or they'll manufacture data. So in this situation, people are struggling. There are big resistances. You have gone on a very heroic strike, the entire banking and the financial sector, against the nationalization in the banking sector that they went. In every single public sector that is being privatized, there have been big strikes. There has been All India Confederation of Trade Unions given a call for a 2-day strike again now. Shortly, it's coming up 27th, 28th, I think, of March. And then for last 4 years, every year there has been an All India strike. Now your labor laws have been abolished, new labor codes have been brought in. And against all these things, the resistance of the working class and the working people, that is rising. Your mid-cap companies are being ruined with this runaway inflation, particularly WPI inflation, wholesale price index inflation, which is connected with the services sector. So, in this way, ruining our domestic industry, impoverishing people, throwing them out of jobs, and the net result is handing over the country's assets for a song to our big corporates and to international capital. We have to march forward with unity, courage, perseverance in order to save India today.